question and we can fire away.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So the changes, we got the same match day 23 that we had against Scotland. The only changes is rotational changes. And it is Franco Mostert in the starting lineup rotating with Loerde Jager, who was on the bench. And then Herschel Jantjies rotating with Kobus, who was on the bench. And then Elton Jantjies rotating with Andre, who was on the bench.
So we'll immediately jump into the questions. And Martin, you can fire away.
Yeah, hi, Jacques. Couple of questions. The first one about Rassie. Will Rassie be on waterboy duties this weekend?
No, we haven't discussed that yet. We'll probably make a decision later on Wednesday, Thursdays, Martin.
Yeah,
Martin, could I just ask you, please limit your questions to for now. We've got quite a big media content and we need
It'll just be a second question, that's all. You're world number ones, you're world champions, yet many people out of South Africa continue to criticize your style of play. And the awards nominations yesterday, with the odd exception, most people seem to agree, and this is not only in South Africa but beyond it, that you are underrepresented in terms of the nominations. I mean, does this whole thing irk you, or does it make you smile?
Martin, no. Listen, in terms of the nominations, yes, we obviously we trust and we respect the process to get to the nomination. And I think if you look at all the nominations, I'm talking coaches, I'm talking players, I'm talking women's rugby. I think if you look at the quality of around all sections, I think it's tremendous, So listen, and we're very happy for the guys that got nominated. Some of our players in the past have been nominated, and it's very special for them. And we wish all the nominees all the best of luck with the whole process. And then in terms of the style of play, I think Eddie mentioned it this week as well. Listen, each country will play to its strength, and we do the same, and the style that we think will get us results, and everybody does it. And again, everybody will play to their strength and their style, and we certainly try and do ours.
Thank you, Mania.
Nathan?
Thank you, Zina. I just got two questions for the coach now, and then one is, of course, a question for John Wick at the end, if that's okay.
That's perfect.
Thank you. Coach, do you remember the Japan versus Box game in 2015? Who the coach was?
Yep, Eddie.
Yeah. So same coach who's coaching England has said this leading up to this weekend's clash, and I quote, "They are world champions. We are not. We want to go into the Six Nations with a South African scalp." Close quote. Coach, your thoughts on Eddie Jones' statement, and just talk us through the prowess of the man as a world-class coach.
Listen, from a getting a victory point of view, I think that's what I think he means by a scalp. I think all of us, when we played Wales, we try and beat Wales. When we play Scotland, we try and beat Scotland. When we're going to play going up against England this weekend, we are going to try and beat England. I think they're going to do the same, So that's in terms of that. It just we would try to get a result on the weekend. Yes, I think Eddie is a brilliant coach. I've coached against him a couple of times, and obviously he knows South Africa quite well. He's been involved with the Box in 2007, so he will. And having Matt there, I think he will have a good understanding of how we operate. So it's going to be a big challenge for us on the weekend.
Thank you. And then the last question, notable exclusions from this side with Farrell and Jamie George, who are experienced players in this side. Your take on England's side this weekend?
I don't know who they're going to select in their place. But yes, I think if you look across the board at all the international teams currently, I think most of us, the injury tallies are going up. And obviously it's a big loss for them. It would have been a big loss for us as well if we were in that position, losing a hooker and a centre. But like I say, we're all in that same position. I mean, we without Frans Malherbe, we without R.G. Snyman, Peter Steff de Tooy, Faf de Klerk, Cheslin Colby. So that's all possible match day 23 if they are informed. I think everybody across the board are currently, on an international level, are currently having some injury woes.
Nick?
Hey, Jack. Just a bit on the guys who could potentially come in to the front row. What do you know about Bevan Rod and Jamie Blamire and the young guys who are next in line?
Jamie the hooker, who plays for Newcastle.
Yeah, and
No,
Bevan, who started against Australia.
I think he's a good player, and obviously we've got a couple of guys playing in the Premiership, so following the Premiership quite closely. I think obviously he's a young player coming into the mix, but he's been. I thought he was good in the Premiership. And he's a menace at the breakdown. So we will have to be on song in terms of handling him if we want to get nice quick ball. Yeah, no, listen, I think the quality coming in, I think that's the one thing of England. They've got a nice young talent coming in to their system, and they've got good pathways. So it will be a challenge for us. Yeah.
And as a team who's renowned for their scrum and the bomb squad, you guys must be licking your lips at the prospect of coming up against a front row if not started together before.
Yeah, if one goes into, let's say, if one go into England, and I know a lot of people are talking about South Africa's scrum and the bomb squad, but I think in my analysis that I've done on England in the last month of rugby that they've played, they had 21 scrums to exit from and to attack from. And they got 14 penalties out of those 21 scrums. So I think there's a lot of similarities between us and them. I think if you just look at the weekend, and you might go, listen, but they played Tier 2 nations. But if you look what they did against Australia, they had 4 scrums and they scrummed 3 penalties. So 75% conversion rate in terms of getting penalties. So I think, yes, it's going to be a big challenge for us. For our forwards and our scrum, and we surely must keep our feet on the ground, because if you just look at the numbers that England are currently pushing out in terms of their scrum performance, they are quite formidable and right up there.
And on Bevan Rod, have you been asking your Sale guys about him?
No. Can we just please move on to someone else, guys? There's a whole lot of hands up. Ashfaq?
Thanks, Zina. Jacques, just firstly, in terms of England, Australia, what did you take out of that game, looking back to 2019 World Cup final? Do you think England have progressed and taken a step forward? And then to Lucanio, last week, obviously, with those turnovers there, are you pushing for the number 6 jersey as well? And just in overall, the backline's attack seems to be really going out of turnover.
Firstly, on the England Australia game, I mean that just shows the class of England. I mean, one look at England, and although one will look at the squad and say, listen, it's quite there is some youth in the squad. I think if you look at the spine of the squad, or not the spine, the majority of the team, there's some old hands. I think if you look at, if Joe Marler is back in the mix against us, he played in the World Cup final. Carl Sinclair played in the World Cup final. Mario Toje played in the World Cup final. Unfortunately, what's her name, got injured. The hooker, Jamie, got injured on the weekend, but he played in the World Cup final. If you look at Curry, Underhill and Laws, they played in the World Cup final. So without Jamie getting injured now, there's 5 guys that played in the World Cup final. So they experienced team. They know what they have to do and what their DNA are to get results. So I think that's going to be, although they are on the fringes, I would say probably the guys coming in on the bench and stuff like that, there's some youth and inexperience, but I think the core of that team is probably the team that beat New Zealand in the semi-final and played against us in the final.
Could I just appeal to everybody to please ask one question? We do have a limited time, and there are quite a number of hands raised. So we'll go to Andrew.
A question for, if both of you could answer, please. What did you make of England's midfield against Australia? I mean, playing a centre on the wing isn't that new, but they effectively used it as 3 centres. What did you make of that? And are you expecting them to try it this weekend?
Yeah, I thought Manu played majority of the time. He played 13, and I thought Slade played fullback. So there's some rotation in terms of that. I think it's a horses for courses. They got certain. They need certain individuals to fulfill certain roles, and they play around with that. I don't think one must look at the number on the back in terms of is it a traditional 14, or is he just having a 14 on his back, fulfilling the role of a 13? You know, so I just think we must just take it horses for courses. He agrees.
Phyllis Sunday.
Thanks, Zina. Hi, Jacques. Jacques, I wanted to find out, I think my question is a little bit similar to what Andrew had asked. Jesse Creel on the wing again, 3rd consecutive test on this tour. What has impressed you about him? And was there a temptation to probably bring back a guy like Sibungosi into the side again?
Yeah, there was a big discussion in getting Sabu maybe back in the mix. Obviously, Sabu joined us a little bit late in terms of his passport and his travel documents and the issues we had with that. And I thought Jesse, in terms of the first game against Wales and the step up he made to the second game against Scotland, especially with all the different variations Scotland can bring to their game in terms of a kicking game, in terms of a passing game, I thought he adapted well. And I thought he had a solid performance, a good performance. And we've like we said, this end of year tour for us is, yes, we want to continue keeping momentum, but we also want to try a couple of things and build some experience in certain players in certain positions, just to get some versatility. So that was our thinking around that.
Kanyiso?
Thank you, Zina. Good afternoon, good people. Jacques, question for you quickly before another one for Lucanio and Isxhosa later. Can you also just to expand further on Peter Sanders' question, can you also just take us through the rotation at Flav with Andre starting again and Elton being on the bench, considering that just having just looked at Elton's numbers, is yet to play back-to-back tests this year?
Yeah, like I said, when we announced the team last week, and again, I'm the same. It's probably going to be the same thing in terms of we had certain internal goals and things that we wanted to try out in the end of year tour, trying not to compromise or lose momentum. And whenever we made a change, we said, listen, this is a rotational change or it's not a rotational change. So yeah, for us, I thought Elton was outstanding last weekend, and it's good for us to give him a start. The way he trains and the way I thought he performed in the games that he started, he's really pushing hard. But yeah, I thought Andre did well when he came on. And obviously with Elton on the bench, it gives us a little bit of versatility in terms of the back end of the game. So depending on if you're chasing the game or maybe you're in control of the game, you can make certain substitutions. So it gives us a little bit of versatility.
Alex?
Thanks, Zina. Jacques, afternoon. Can I ask you, are you anticipating a backlash from England? They remember the World Cup final, obviously, very clearly and want to set the record straight. And when you see Freddie Stewart, a 6'5" fullback, who's pretty commanding in the air, does that change the way you think about attacking them?
Yeah, on a backlash, I won't know what Eddie is telling his players. From our perspective, obviously, the World Cup has been. It's been so long ago, it's water under the bridge. You can't stay and live in that moment. You need to move on. And we definitely did. And even from the British and Irish Lions, listen, it's new focus. It's new objectives. and we're working towards France 2023. So yes, I don't know if they would use that to fuel them. So it's tough for me to comment on that. No, listen, Stuart is a very good player, and obviously that's the other benefit. We've got a couple of players that play with him at club. He's really good under the high ball. Very impressed with him, and it's going to be a big challenge for us in terms, and we might have to maybe look at how we apply our pressure game. Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yeah, hi guys. Just going back to the World Cup 2 years ago. I mean, what are your memories now of beating England, and what was the game plan for beating England that day and winning by 20 points?
Yes, my memories of that is currently, yes, I would say it's very distant. To be fair, yes, I think like in any final, like on Saturday, you want to have good set piece. You want to be able to launch off your set piece. You want to get good quality ball on the front foot, momentum. You want to get quick ball. Without that, you won't be able to attack. I think it's going to be the same. And honestly, I don't think it will change if it's a World Cup final or playing England at Twickenham or England playing us at Ellis Park. I mean, it's always going to be that. That's it.
Kanyiso?
That was for a previous question, sorry.
Oh, okay. Daniel? Is that a fresh hand?
Yes. Hi, Jacques. You were very generous in saying that you wish all the nominees for Player of the Year, etc. You wish them well.
Your line is really bad.
I wonder,
Can you just repeat that?
Daniel, you're breaking up badly.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Robin, you can ask your question.
Please check your WhatsApp, Zina. On my left.
Your line is bad as well. Alrighty. Last question, Nathan, in English.
I don't know if you can hear me, Jacques. I'll ask it quickly.
Can I proceed, Zina, or must I wait?
Nathan, we need to switch over. Okay, so. Okay.
No, I'm fine. I'll just wait for the Kosa section. Thank you very much.
Alrighty. Daniel, do you want to try that again, and then we can move over to Afrikaans and Kosa? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the English section of our press conference. We'll now move over to Afrikaans and Kosa for
Zina, I just wanted to ask Lukanya because he hasn't had a question yet, just to get one question in English, please.
All right, Ashfaq, and then we'll wrap up the English.
Yeah, I wanted one for Lukanya as well. It's Craig Ray.
Okay, Craig.
Go for it, Craig. Go for it, Craig.
Ashfaq, you were first. I'll wait for you. Go for it.
Thanks. Lukanya, I wanted to ask earlier, with all your turnovers there, are you now pushing Jacques to pick you at number 6 flank as an open sider? And then also just in terms of the turnover attack is looking really sharp too. Wonderful tries by my teams last week. Just the transition there.
Yeah, Ashfaq, I think we're doing a lot of hard work on D and creating those opportunities on going for the steals. And we've managed to capitalize on turnover attack, and we've scored 2 beautiful tries. So yeah, it's becoming one of our strengths, and we'll keep on working on it.
Right.
Thanks. Hi, Lukanya. Hi, Jacques, as well. Just in the Northern Hemisphere, there's been a lot of there's been a lot of cards for high tackles, seatbelt tackles, and I guess in the thick of things in the midfield. Have you had to adapt a little bit? Has it been an adaptation in the way it's been refereed, or is it sort of consistent throughout the whole year? Because I really feel for defenders when someone lowers their body height a split second before contact, and it's becoming quite tricky. How difficult and how much work do you do on that aspect of the game?
Yeah, Craig, I think, with our style of D, going high, we work a lot on level change, trying to go for legs. But, at times in the outside channels, it's kind of reactive where you try to reach out for attacker. But yeah, I think as a team, defensively, we work really hard on level changing and tackling low.
That concludes the English section of our press conference. We will now move over to Afrikaans and Xhosa. For our international media, you are more than welcome to stay on or log off if you'd like. And we will go to Nathan. Was it you had a question for Lucanio?
Yes, please, Zina.
You can fire away, Nathan.
Thank you. John Wick uzithembile pha ephikweni. Umqeqeshi wenu uBhomoyo ukhe watsho uba uzofakwa pha ephikweni ba kungaphuma uDrex okanye uJesse.
Yeah, Nathan, I think umqeqeshi bekhe wayithetha uba sibone xa selected team yeseyasonke sine-roles emele sizidlalile, and kuba lula ke xa ukwazi uba ne-players as-flexible ezikwazi ucoverisha i-position ezimbini okanye ezintathu. So uba kungenzeka nantoni na emaphikweni ethu, zikhona i-players onokwazi uzitshintsha uzise ephikweni okanye uthatha iphik uzise apha esiphakathini. So yeah, into noko siyisebenzayo. I think we've been together for ixesha elide ngoku i-systems ze-teams ezazi backline, noba ungashifta udlaliswe ndawoni na.
Okay, pha esuswini wena nomngani wakho uDugs nizodibana noManu noSlate xa kuthethwa. Khotho nje man nizimisele udibane nalawo madoda pha ephikweni, pha eMidlingane.
I think ngamadoda noko nawo anamava ngesebesijongene nawo kule mpelaveki. So yeah, nathi sazimisela kulangangoko uzama ukakana nawo. Iplan ke yethu ke sinethi isimple uba kuzame uba masiphumelele kule game yokugqibela sabe siyidlala. So yeah, ngumdlalo lo ondijonge kuye kakhulu.
Steven?
Dankie Zina, waardeer die geleentheid. Eerstens Jacques net, ek sal waardeer as jy vir ons net deur die veranderinge kan neem in jou gedagtes agter dit. En dan tweedens, daar is vroeër oor die toekennings gepraat van wêreld rugby. Ek weet julle obviously, ek bedoel julle speel nie vir ego en toekennings en sulke dinge nie, maar jy moet tog voel dat geen span is in die wêreld het deurgemaak wat julle hierdie jaar deurgemaak het nie. So is dit al vir, sou ek sê, is daar 'n tipe van 'n emosionele vlak waar jy die ouens kan bereik in terme van jou motivering vir hierdie naweek om vir Engeland te klop en wat dit sal beteken gegee alles wat julle deur is?
Ja, Steven, as ek vir jou so sê, ek dink die motivering kom af as jy vir die Bokke speel, en ek weet dit gaan cliché klink, maar dit is so. Ek bedoel, jy speel, soos jy gesê het in jou vraag, mens speel nie vir enige klop op die skouer of 'n well done. Jy speel vir jou land en om jou land te verteenwoordig. En Saterdag gaan dit Suid-Afrika teen Engeland wees. En in terme van die ek is dood eerlik as ek sê, ons het baie vertroue in die proses wat wêreld rugby gebruik om die nominasies te kry. En yes, baie geluk aan die mense wat genomineer is. Hulle het regtig, ek bedoel as jy gaan kyk na die kwaliteit daar is goeie kwaliteit, jy weet, en sterkte vir daai nominasies met die proses vorentoe. In terme van jou vraag, in terme van die veranderinge wat ons gemaak het, is ja, Franco, dit is alles rotasieveranderinge. So Franco Mostert gaan na die bank toe en Lode Jager kom op in die beginspan, en dan die skakelpaar Kobus en Andre wat op die bank was, begin, en Herschel en Elton wat begin het teen Skotland gaan op die bank. Ek dink die groot ding vir ons daar is, jy weet, met Franco op die die bank. Hy gee vir ons baie veelsidigheid in terme, hy kan 4 vir ons speel, hy kan vir ons 7 speel, hy kan vir ons 5 speel. So hy gee vir ons 'n lekker mense kan kyk waar het jy hom nodig, jy weet, hier in die laaste 35 minute, 30 minute, 20 minute, en dan kan jy hom daar speel, en dieselfde met Herschel en Elton. Hulle bring so 'n bietjie iets anders na die game toe. So ek dink ja, hulle daar's altyd 'n bietjie, kan ek sê, magic wat gebeur wanneer daai twee op die veld kom. So dit bring vir ons bietjie veelsidigheid van die bank af.
Simon?
Dankie Zina. Jacques, vraag vir jou. Julle het baie bereik, ten spyte van al die moeilike omstandighede. Ons weet waarvan ons praat, julle weet beter, julle is daar. Sal dit nodig wees vir 'n wen teen Engeland hierdie naweek om te kan sê, julle het 'n tik gemaak in daai boksie om te sê, ons het 'n suksesvolle jaar gehad? Of sal dit 'n cherry op die koek wees? Hoe gaan jy dit plaas en wat is die verwagting rondom dit? As jy dit net vir my kan antwoord. Dankie.
Ja, ek dink as 'n mens kyk na die jaar wat ons gehad het, dit was 'n baie moeilike jaar. Ons het een Tier 2 nation gespeel en dit was Georgia. En verder was dit 3 toetse, Britse en Ierse leeu's. En ons swakste gerankte span was gewees Argentinië, wat self 'n stewige oppositie is. So 2 toetse reguit na Britse en Ierse leeu's teen hulle. Toe soos oor see, 2 toetse teen Australië, 2 Nieu-Seeland en die einde van die jaar toer teen Wallis, 6 nasiekampioene, Skotland laas naweek, wat ek dink 'n opwaartse kurwe het, en die naweek sluit ons dit af met Engeland. So ek dink as jy gaan kyk na ons skedule hierdie jaar, is dit 'n moeilike skedule gewees. En dit was wat dit so moeilik was vir ons om rotasie te kry. Jy weet, as 'n ou kyk na Nieu-Seeland, hulle het begin met Tonga en toe het hulle 2 toetse gehad teen Fiji. Nie dat ek afpraat op enige van daai lande nie. Maar en ook hulle het die VSA gespeel, hulle het Italië gespeel. Dus daar het 'n ou geleenthede om bietjie te eksperimenteer met jou span. Maar ek dink ons het nog 'n stywe skedule gehad en ek dink 2021 sal vir altyd onthou word, in my opinie, as een van die taaiste skedules wat 'n ou kan kry. Jy weet, 3 Britse en Ierse leeu toets, geen weke af nie, reguit in rugby kampioenskappe, dan in bobbles waar jy vir 2 weke in 'n kamer moet bly, kan nie recovery doen nie. En ek wil nie soos iemand klink wat mou nie, maar ja, dit is 'n stewige skedule gewees en ek dink dit sal baie vir die groep beteken as ons deur hierdie laaste wedstryd kan kom met 'n wen. Dit sal baie vir ons beteken, ja.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are running out of time. Nathan, you've asked a few questions, so we will go to Kanyiso. I know you've had a question, and then we'll go to Percy for the last question.
Mandibulele Zina Kuqoq, mandizibulisele man, ndathemba niyaphila apho nikhenkethe kakuhle. Ukhuve xa kuthiwa nje izikolo zavala, kuba nizavala izikolo ngongengilani. Ibale kanjani ba nivale isizini yenu ngenqanaba eliphezulu njengoba ke ngexesha ubudlala ke umbhoxo odlala uvavanyo England ithande uba liqela lamalo othanda ukugilana nalo kakhulu.
Khanyisa, I think kwezi games sizidlalileyo bizigame bezinzima kakhulu. Sinokuqalela kwiWales, unyukelo uza kuScotland, ndisenze kahle kakhulu si-team. I think sawuzama unyusa umgangatho udlala kule game yokugqibela, sivala unyaka wethu ngesihle. Siyayazi ke iEngland izawuza ngamandla kodwa sidlala kokwayo phambi kwecrowd yawo. Kodwa thina ke kwicala lethu sineplan zethu esawuzama ujongana nawo lamanene. Siyanqwena ngoba iziphumo zawuza kwicala lethu.
Percy, last vraag vir jou.
Thank you so much, Zina. Zina, surprisingly, I don't have an Afrikaans question. I actually have an English question for Lukhanyo, if with your permission, ma'am.
That's cheating, Percy.
I apologize, ma'am.
But fire away, and then that we'll wrap up the press conference with that.
Thank you so much, Zina. Lukhanyo, Firstly, congratulations on your nomination, sir. Let me just ask you, your coach, the man next to you, this past weekend after the match against Scotland, he used the analogy of snake venom, very poisonous snake venom, and he was making reference to the front row of the Springboks. I would want to say he forgot to mention that there was a silent killer in the backline this whole past season now in the name of Lucanio. Can you possibly score a try of the season this weekend at Twickenham and possibly help your team secure a victory against England? And maybe, Coach, maybe you can say something Afrikaans about your play next year, perhaps.
Oh, Percy, thank you, man. Yeah, I think from 1 to 15, we all have our roles that we play in the team, and we try to master that week in, week out. So yeah, going to this weekend, we're definitely going to bring our A game, and yeah, hopefully we're going to come up tops. On the try, I don't know. We'll see what happens on Saturday.
On Lucanio. Ja, nou in Afrikaans, weet jy. Ja, nee, Lucanio, ek en hy kom al 'n tydjie. Ek het eendag ek het gaan afrig by Border in 2015. Toe Lucanio en Mapimpi was in daai groep gewees net voordat hy Sharks toe geskuif het. So ek en Lukie kom hulle 'n tydjie saam. Ek het hom nie spesifiek afgerig nie, maar hy was in die groep gewees en ek onthou ons het na die tyd het ek en Rassie op die vliegtuig geklim en teruggevlieg. Toe vra hy vir my eers Jackie, jy het daai senter gesien, maar ek was besig met die defense van die forwards hier rondom die reg om bietjie strukture daar reg te kry. So ek sê nee, Rassie, ek het hom nie gesien nie. Yes, hy dink daar's 'n talentvolle ou. En net daarna het Lucanio Sharks toe geskuif en van daar af het sy karier net opgegaan en ek haal my hoed af vir hom. Hy en my vrou, of hy was in dieselfde skool as my vrou, so ek weet hy kom van die Vosmaland wat in King Williamstown is. Ek sal nou nie sê hulle het dieselfde hoë prestasie rugbyprogram as wat 'n Grey College in die groot skole het nie. So die hoeveelheid werk wat jy daar moet insit om te kom waar hy vandag is, spreek boekdele van jou.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps up our press conference for today. We'll be sending out the audio shortly, so please keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jacques and Lucanio, and have a lovely day.
Dankie almal.
Thanks all. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As jy sê jy haal jou hoed af, dan haal jou hoed.